Good morning, AEGEAN 600 race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis with Seahorse Magazine, giving you the overview of what's happening out here on the race course. We're using the YB tracker system, which is available on the website. There's also a mobile app, and it's quite clever. Now, this system is showing you the positions of the boats along with other characteristics, their speed and their heading. And it's, again, very clever. This is a 30-minute delay in what you're seeing on the screen. So keep that in mind if you're looking for how the teams are getting around the islands. Now, this is I'm going to zoom in. That's the overview of the whole race course. I'm going to zoom in to here, the first leg. This is about just about an hour after the start. The start was up here at Cape Suunyo, and the teams were heading down on this first leg. And as you can see by some of the boat speeds, this was a broad reaching for some, close reaching for others, but basically a very fast leg. In fact, this whole race course is going to look very fast, as we'll soon see. But you can use this scroll bar here to show how the boats are progressing in time. The time here is local time, so they started the race about 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, Sunday, and this is about 6 o'clock in the p.m. So quite a bit. They've legged out quite a bit. The slower, smaller boats are in the back here. You move your cursor over to an icon for each boat, and you can get how well they're doing. For example, here's a double-handed team who are sailing their Daler 30, and at 7.6 knots on this race course, that's pretty good speed for a boat that size. Whereas up in the front, Leopard 3 is a 100-foot cannon keel race boat, Far design. It's recently been renovated with about 4 tons of weight taken out of it, according to skipper Chris Sherlock, and they're going very fast. So 12.1 knots is their average. And then Volvo 70 from the Polish team, they're going slightly faster, at least in this snapshot. And but they're behind the 100-footer. And obviously this is going to be, for first to finish, this is going to be a big battle between these two. Now, if we keep scrolling forward, at the first corner down here at Milos, I scrolled out too far. If you use 2 fingers on your trackpad, you can get effects like that. I just have to learn to control it a little bit. There we go. Or you use this zoom tool. So after rounding Milos down here, the fleet's going to go over to the next leg of the course, over to the east. This is Santorini. And what's really cool about this race course is they go through the caldera of Santorini, around that little volcanic plug in the middle, and then transit out the other side. If we scroll forward in time, last night, we can see that Leopard and I Love Poland were coming into here about 10:30 last night, local time. The rest of the fleet. Now, this is interesting too. If you see the changes of course, it means the wind went to the north. The start of the race, the wind was around to the east-northeast, which was basically kind of a back eddy off the main flow of Meltemi. There I did it again with my 2 fingers, but the main flow of wind is in the Meltemi is about northwest in direction, north-northwest. Up in the upper part of the race course, further up here in the starting area, this main flow was north-northwest out here, but over in the course area there was like a back eddy. So when you looked at the wind vectors, they were actually curving this way, and therefore was a very different wind direction until they legged out to here, and then the wind went from being northeasterly to more northerly, and you can see that reflected here in the headings of the boat. So I'm interpreting this as them jibing downwind. They're now on downwind angles and need to get around this island. The lead boats probably didn't see that too much, but in part because they sail at very different angles. They're very fast. They make their own wind, and they're not always analogous to what we see in the slower boats out here. Anyway, Going further out on the race course, in fact, I'll have to zoom out to look at this. So this was a picture about 10:30 last night. If we go forward in time, we can see the lead boats. Now, they too were probably starting to get wind directions out of the northwest. And as we'll see in a moment, the further you get out over into this part of the Aegean, the stronger the Meltemi becomes. So they're sailing their angles, but pretty fast boat speeds, 16.8 knots for Poland. This one says 0. Of course, that's not right. They're probably going that and more on Leopard 100. And then watch this. So that's a jibe. So we can interpret this to be the Meltemi out of a northwest direction. Leopard jibes, going fast, 17.5 knots. Their next move, getting around this island of Kossos, is another jibe, and another turning mark with Kossos and Karpathos. So I'm just going to go up into current time now, and when I do that, I bring open the option. If you use this wind data toggle here, you can get, and I like this option of the windy model because it gives you graphically not just these clever vectors that you see in direction, but also shading to indicate the strength of the wind. And that wind strength scale is down here in the bottom of the screen. So these areas in red and dark orange, that's 30 knots of wind. It's really windy down here at this end of the course. I think everybody expected that. This is quite normal for this race course and this time of year. And what that means, of course, on the big boats is they're going fast. They're headsail reaching here for sure. These guys are going to be going downwind. But look at Carbonita. They're going fast too. 16.3 knots is really fast. Chipalipa is a cruiser racer, very fast cruiser racer boat. It's beautiful, but also fast. 18.2 knots of boat speed. They're really going at it. So this is 8:30 in the morning in Greek time zone. They're getting across this channel. This is the windiest part of the course, and what lies ahead of them is going to be what's arguably the toughest part of the course. So what happens over here, of course, is the Meltemi weakens a bit because it's more in the lee of these islands and headlands. We'll see in our next analysis what their strategy will be in getting through this lee, whether they try to stay close if they think there's enough pressure coming off the beach, or they avoid it entirely, and we've seen this in past years where they do a wide berth here. We've seen boats get stuck in here because they get too close, and others that just go right on around them. They sail extra distance, but they stay in the breeze. And then making this turn here is also important. Again, could be really light air and tricky to get around. And then they extend back over to these islands in this part of the course where they get back into the breeze. And here the challenge is going to be sea state as well as some tight navigation. With the lead boats going the speeds they do, the transit of these short legs here are going to be quite difficult because they're going to have a lot of changing wind conditions. I mean, look at this. Let's see. There's a scale over in this corner, 20 nautical miles down in the lower left corner of the screen. So that gives you an idea of scale. And with the speeds the big boats go, that's only 2 hours or so of time, which doesn't. Changing sails and shifting gears in a 100-foot boat, Mitch Booth was talking about this yesterday, that's not a trivial exercise. That takes a lot of effort and a lot of coordination of a very good crew to do that. And so they, by virtue of their speed, they're really going to have to have their act together to get through this part of the race course and these tight turns and these conditions, which will no doubt shift a lot. And then back out here into this part of the course, it's straightforward reaching, beam reaching, headsail reaching, likely. If we go, you can use this tool a little bit to go predictive. That's tonight, 10th of July, at 8:30 in the evening. So the Meltemi and the main axis of it remains quite strong. But what may happen is out here, as they get out here into the edges of the course, that strength could weaken. So this is, look at this. So this is, excuse me, early Tuesday morning. Now, the lead boats will be somewhere up in this part of the course, but they're in less pressure. It's no longer seeing the oranges and the deep and approaching red that we saw earlier. These are more in the 15 to 20 knot range, and then even further west as they get over here. Well, let's see. This is another important gate here, actually. Here at Mykonos, they've got to do a transit through here. It's not easy. You can get into the lee of the island and get in trouble. We've seen that in past editions of this race. So this is another tricky gate they got to get through, and in light air that could be made even more tricky. So a lot to do in this race course. Wanted to give everybody, all the fans, a sense of what lies ahead. And we'll come back and give another analysis, I think, I don't know, in probably 10, 12 hours from now, just to give you another overview of how the fleet's doing. And then, obviously use it yourself. If you're wondering what they're doing, use the same tools that I'm using. It's quite clever, and it's going to be really exciting. So that's it for now for me. I thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this race as a spectator. And if you have friends and family out on the course, be thinking about them. This is a challenging 600-mile race course, but I think it's a really one of the best courses in the world of ocean racing. So that's it for now. I'm Dobbs Davis signing off, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next show.